So can I talk to y'all? All right. So I want you to imagine that one of your loved ones, your friends, your significant other, your child has come to you and shared that they no longer desire to live. Now what? What do you do with that? I want to provide some ideas around some next steps. I'm passionate about today's talk because, like many, I've battled with the thoughts of suicide. I'm just happy that that day in 2019, my whys to live outweighed my why nots. And if any of you are battling with the thoughts of suicide, I hope that you continue to win the battle and do the work to heal daily. In 2021, over 24,000 people died as a result of homicides, and for many of those injustices, people marched. But did you know that that same year, over 47,000 plus people died as a result of suicide? And you might ask, why are these numbers so high? Well, unfortunately, we live in a time, in a society where people believe that their mental health struggles should be kept a secret because no one cares how they feel or wants to hear about their struggles. So many of us, including you, often carry the heaviness of our mental health struggles alone. But what if I told you a simple question if asked more often could change that and even save lives, potentially yours? Imagine going up to a loved one and asking, how do you feel? And you pause long enough to actually listen and for them to trust the space you created enough for them to pour their hearts out to you. Imagine this being the social norm. You know, unfortunately, us not having conversations like this is a lot of the reason mental health crises continue to rise at such a rate. But I believe that we have the collective power to dramatically change that. And today I want to have a conversation about how everyday people can help to prevent a mental health crisis, such as suicide, and how we can help our friends and loved ones to more effectively manage their anxiety attacks and other mental health crises. It is said that 90% of those who die by suicide were reported to have an underlying mental illness. It is said that in the previous year, 60% of those who experienced a mental illness did not receive treatment. So according to research, it's safe to say that most of the people who experience a mental health crisis won't receive help or talk to a therapist. But at some point, they will interact with a significant other, a friend, a neighbor, a coworker, an Uber driver. My question to you, when they interact with you, will you have the language, the skills to identify the signs even when they aren't waving a red flag because they are drowning? March 2022, I lost my mother, y'all, and I was drowning. And I remember none of my friends called me on Mother's Day, and I thought to myself, don't they know I'm over here drowning? I later talked to one of my friends, and he said to me, bro, I don't be knowing what to say. And I don't want to say the wrong thing, It was then I realized three things. Number one, most people don't have the skills to identify people's mental health struggles. Number two, most of us are emotionally illiterate and don't have the language to navigate someone's mental health struggles. And number three, many of us are usually struggling with our own mental health, so it becomes a thing of, I'm struggling too much to save me, so how can I possibly save you too? So instead of waiting for the next opportunity for my friends to not be able to show up for me in the ways that I need them to, I instead became the change in the world that I wanted to see and y'all, I became certified in mental health first aid. And for those who don't know what mental health first aid is, I'll explain briefly. It's just like CPR training because everyday people can do it, right? And once you've done the training, you're now equipped with the skills to identify someone is struggling to breathe, and you're now able to help them breathe again. The same thing with mental health first aid. Everyday people can do the training, right? You don't have to have a degree in psychology or sociology. You don't even have to have a high school diploma. Just be 18 years or older and be willing to participate in an 8-hour training. And now, after you've done this training and become certified, you're now equipped with the skills. So when you see someone who is struggling with their mental health, you now have the skills to identify and to help them get out of that darkness back into the light so they can continue to breathe. You know, once upon a time, we approached mental illness through a very limited lens. We neglected conversations about it. We became believers of the stigmas. We even loosely tossed terms around like crazy, and that it makes you weak to not be okay. You know, we became so much believers of these stigmas and ugly lies that we even ignored our own mental health struggles, especially men who represent 80% of the suicides in America. We even knew of our friends who were having mental health struggles, and we foolishly said things like, I'm sure they'll be okay. That ain't none of my business. Who am I to talk someone off the ledge? I'm sure somebody can help them better than me. But what if that somebody never comes around? Do we risk our friends becoming one of the 40+ thousand? Or do we become the very lifelines that they need? The answer is yes. We become the very lifelines that they need. When someone is struggling with their mental health, it is your business. And you are worthy enough to help them regardless of how far in tax brackets you are, regardless how old they are, or how much younger you are, or how little you know each other. When someone is hanging from a cliff, holding on to a broken tree branch, they don't have the luxury to wait on the most qualified person to come and save them. And in real life, there is no one superhero that we can anticipate coming from the sky to save any of us. And in real life, we are all those heroes. And I want to offer you all something that will hopefully help you become a little bit more equipped to be a hero. Is that fine? So, assert is an action plan. Recently published in my latest book, Get Up, Get Out, and Get Some Healing. When someone is at risk of causing harm to themselves or someone else, it is your business to assert yourself. Ask questions, but don't assume. Ask questions like, how do you feel? Is everything okay? Is anything on your mind? If so, I have time to listen. Study their mood, their behaviors, their language, and if it's inconsistent with how they've shown up normally. Is their house usually clean, car organized? They usually dress nice. And now it's the complete opposite. And if you don't know the person, study them to see if they are emotionally disconnected, if they're socially withdrawn. Study for self-harm. It could look like self-inflicted injuries, misplaced aggression, overuse of drugs or alcohol more than usual. Study them. Study them. A person who is struggling with their mental health may have bad hygiene, right? They may be sleeping way more or less than usual. Be solution-based, but allow them to first offer their solution. Hey, how do you think this situation can be better? And then, if given the opportunity, offer your solutions. Solutions may be professional help like therapy. And you may go as far as helping them to go to psychologytoday.com or to Google a therapist near me, and to go as far as helping them to schedule a session. Or if they and you believe that this mental health crisis, because it's life or death, right? If they believe that this mental health crisis is unmanageable, hospitalization may be an option, where they're held under the care for 72 hours in a hospital by professionals or longer. And this can be arranged by dialing 911. You can take them to the ER, or their primary care physician can arrange it. Other solutions may be dialing 988, which is the suicide prevention hotline. If you don't feel like you have the language to navigate them through this struggle, they can simply dial 988, and within seconds, they can be on the phone talking to a real-life counselor. I know it works because I've done it. It worked for me. It saved my life. Other solutions might be helping your friends to design a self-care plan right away so they can begin taking care of themselves, and you can help them do that. Engage the entire time. When someone is expressing themselves to you and being vulnerable about a mental health crisis, you got to keep eye contact. Don't be distracted by what's happening on your phone, what's happening around you, because everything that's happening in this moment is vital. They are fragile right now. Recognize that their experience is not about you or your opinions. Remove your prejudices and trust their truth. It is not the time to overly intellectualize their mental health struggle. It's not for you to agree with right now or to completely understand. Just listen and be quiet. It's important to know that when someone is struggling with their mental health and they are considering suicide or they're in the middle of an anxiety attack, they are not attempting to escape some extreme form of joy, but actually the opposite. They are attempting to escape the thought and the feelings of pain that exist in their minds and bodies. Research has found that the central theme to anxiety and depression is something called rumination. Rumination is the looping, the tendency to loop and replay negative thoughts and emotions over and over and over in our minds and bodies. Because of rumination, emotions like hatred and sadness, on average, exist in the body for 132 hours, while joy only exists in the mind and the body for on average of 36 hours. So with that being known, again, when someone is struggling with their mental health, it is our goal as first responders, as friends, as lovers, to disrupt the looping of negative thoughts and emotions by refocusing their thoughts on something joyous, creating moments for laughter. And then my favorite, move. Move. And that could look like getting up to go to a different room or getting up to dance, right? I can't dance. But getting up to dance, right? Or driving down the street or exercising. I want you to think, I want to put it into context, right? When you're laying down in the morning and you wake up, the way that you activate energy or to redistribute energy, you don't lay down for an extra 30 minutes and then all of a sudden you got energy. It doesn't happen like that. Your energy, it distributes and it's activated once you move. When you stretch, when you get up to use the restroom or brush your teeth or you turn that music on, that is the way that we are going to redistribute and activate that negative energy that is holding us hostage. And that's what anxiety, that's what depression does. It holds you hostage. It wraps its chains around you. And the only way to get free from it is to get up, to get out, so we can get our healing. And that right there, y'all, is what we're going to do. That's our action plan. Right now, we're going to begin saving lives. I believe we can do that. So the next time you see a friend or a loved one, or even when the lights come on at the end of this conference, I want you to look at the person, and I want you to look at them, and I want you to look at them deeply and ask them, how do you feel? And I want you to take time to actually listen. Thank y'all.